Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us. Shadowland Stages presents Terror at the Mic. This evening, we hope to keep you in and on the edge of your seats by presenting two vintage radio dramas. Our first play will begin after a word from one of our participating sponsors.
Good evening, Aromatime Bistro. This is Jamie. Oh, hi, how are you? Monday, yes, of course. That's our lobster night. How many? Sure, no problem. Oh, he doesn't. Well, we have our organic curry sweet potato soup. We have the Silver Fern Farm grass-fed ribeye steak, chipotle seitan, polenta cake with roasted tomatoes, fava beans, grilled eggplant, and sun-dried tomato aioli. And you know, if he doesn't like shellfish, but he likes other seafood, we have sesame-crusted albacore tuna and wild Alaskan coho salmon. Uh-huh. So yeah, there are definitely options. Okay, great. We'll see you Monday at 7. Bye-bye. Marcus! Marcus! Marcus!
I'll be right there. I'm just updating my profile picture.
Ugh, you and that computer.
Hey, the future is here. And look, the new profile already has 3 likes.
Yeah, well, I'd like if you'd help me with the Halloween treats. The kids will be here any...
Trick or treat!
Hi, kids!
Hi, gang. Happy Halloween.
We want candy.
What do you got?
Load us up, Mr. G.
Okay, belly up to the bar, kids. We've got some really spectacular treats this year. I know you're going to love them.
M&M's?
Kit Kats?
Almond Joys.
Heck no, none of that corporate processed poison at Aromatime. Jamie, what do we have for the kids?
Well, Marcus, we have a local farm stand artisanal cheese plate.
Huh?
Sautéed organic bananas a la mode with organic Catskill maple syrup.
What the?
A wild Maine blueberry crisp, organic oat, walnut, and organic maple syrup crumble.
Are you kidding?
How about a dark chocolate fudge torte made with organic raw cocoa, organic raw agave, organic bee maple syrup, and organic raw coconut butter?
Or organic nectar's gelato, made with raw organic sprouted cashews and agave nectar.
Well, kids, what do you say? What's it gonna be? Huh?
I want the dark chocolate fudge torte with organic raw agave and raw coconut butter. Oh boy!
That's
man.
for me.
Okay, help yourselves.
Oh my God, that's
man,
so
I
much
can't
cheese. I've
eat
never
all
seen
this.
so much
It's
expensive cheese in one
Oh,
place.
thank you.
Well, Marcus, you done it again.
Thanks, Mr. G.
This is the best Halloween ever.
Oh, shucks. Thanks, kids. Have a blast. I love Halloween. Jamie, you want a little something?
Yeah. Toss me a Milky Way.
You got it. Aromatime Bistro. We're green and kids love us. You will too. Suspense. This is the Man in Black, welcoming you to another excursion of suspense. If you've been with us before, you will know that suspense is compounded of mystery, suspicion, and dangerous adventure. In this series are tales calculated to intrigue you, to stir your nerves, to offer you a precarious situation, and then withhold the solution until the last possible moment. And so it is with the strange story, A Friend to Alexander by James Thurber from his book My World and Welcome to It, and adapted for radio by Freya Howard, that we hope once again to keep you in suspense.
Harry was a laughing, happy-go-lucky fellow before he began to have those dreams. I guess he was pretty much like dozens of other men who go to work every morning, settle down in a soft chair with their newspapers after dinner, and like a weekend in the country now and then. He was fond of easy living and good times. Like everyone else, he thought of the war, rationing tires, and his golf scores. Until those nightmares began to plague him. At first I was amused.
You know, I've been dreaming about Aaron Burr every night.
What for?
Well, how do I know what for?
Aaron Burr is a funny person to be dreaming about nowadays.
Why?
I mean, with all the countries in the world at war with each other.
Well, what's so funny about dreaming?
Maybe you're upset.
Everybody dreams, don't they?
I don't see why you'd see Aaron Burr in your dreams.
Well, I do.
Where do you see him?
Oh, places. Washington Square, Bowling Green, Broadway,
Even here on 55th Street?
and mostly downtown. I'll be talking to a woman in a Victoria, a woman holding a white-laced parasol.
Oh.
Suddenly, there will be Aaron Burr, bowing and smiling and smelling like a carnation, telling his stories about France and getting off his insults.
Who is the woman in the Victoria?
What?
The woman, who is she?
Well, how do I know? You know about people in dreams, don't you? They're nobody at all. Or everybody.
But you see Aaron Burr plainly enough, don't you? I mean, he isn't anybody or nobody or everybody.
All right, you have me there, but I don't know who the woman is.
Are you sure?
What's more, I don't care. Maybe it's Madame Jumel, Mittens Willett, or the girl I knew in high school.
Who is Mittens Willett?
She was a famous New York actress, first in her day 50 years ago or so. She's buried in an old cemetery on 2nd Avenue. I've seen the tombstone.
That's very sad.
Why is it?
I mean, she probably died young. Almost all women did in those days.
He's a vile, cynical cad. I was standing and talking to Alexander Hamilton when Burr stepped up and slapped him in the face. When I looked at Hamilton, who do you suppose it was?
I don't know. Who?
My brother, Walter, the one I told you about, the one who was killed by that drunk in the cemetery.
Harry, I never could get that story
I
straight.
told you about it a dozen times. This drunk came up to him and his back was turned and...
What was he doing in the cemetery?
That's not the point. He was killed. That's what's important. And I loved him very much.
I don't understand
What's
why.
the use of telling you? Every time I mention it, you start asking the same questions.
I understand now. When you looked at Hamilton, he was your brother Walter.
Yes.
Harry, maybe we should go to the country for more weekends.
Weekends?
Yes.
I'm going to bed.
For a time that evening, I worried about Harry. Not about his dreams. Why shouldn't he dream? But I worried about his health. He looked so worried somehow, so unlike himself. I was glad when he went to bed. A good night's sleep is just what he needed, I thought. How could I know? Next morning, we were quietly eating our grapefruit when Harry flung down the spoon.
I wish he'd go back to France and stay there. Him and his la-la.
Who, dear? Oh, you mean Aaron Burr. Did you dream about him again?
Yes. He said la-la to me.
Why should he say la la?
I was at the tavern. We were drinking ale, and I said something funny. I don't remember what it was. Something amusing about what Ben Franklin had said to Washington once. One of those things, you know.
No, I don't. Have some more coffee, dear.
I don't want any coffee. I made this remark, and everyone laughed. Everyone but Burr, that is. He sort of sneered. Then he said, la-la.
Well, why not? I mean, is there anything wrong about him saying la la?
It was the way he said it. He was sneering at me. They all noticed it.
Who did? Who noticed
The
it?
others, all of them. And Hamilton. I was there with him. It was swell until Burr came in. Aaron Burr.
I don't see why you dream about him all the time. Don't you think you should take some luminol?
I'm not sick, I tell you. I know what I'm dreaming.
I just thought, well, it's always Burr, and that seems odd.
Well, why? Why shouldn't I dream about Burr if I want to?
But you don't want to.
No, but I can't help it. Everywhere I go with Alexander, sooner or later, Burr shows up, makes those nasty remarks. Last night he elbowed Alexander out of his way, did it deliberately.
Alexander.
Hamilton.
Oh, Alexander Hamilton.
Yes. Goodness knows I'm familiar enough with him by this time to call him by his first name.
Harry, you know, we might go to the old Drover's Inn this weekend. You like it there.
Hamilton has become not only my brother Walter, but practically every other guy I've ever liked.
Don't you like the old Drover's Inn anymore?
Isn't it natural that Hamilton should represent my brother and guys I like? That's natural, isn't it?
Yes, I suppose so.
Well, then why are you looking at me like that?
You know, dear, I wish you'd go and see Dr. Fox.
I don't want to see Dr. Fox. I want Aaron Burr to stop sneering at me. And my clothes. He looks at me and his lip curls up and he says, "La la, Mr. Andrews, what odd taste you have."
I wish you'd go and see Dr. Fox.
Going to the zoo to feed popcorn to the rhinoceros. That makes things seem right. For a little while, anyway.
Harry's dreams continued, and I kept urging him to see Dr. Fox. At first he refused, but later he decided to humor me. He was humoring me by this time, and Dr. Fox, too.
How you been feeling, Doc?
Oh, fairly well, Mr. Andrews. My pulse has been a Now, what seems to be the problem?
Nothing. Nothing wrong with me.
He has nightmares.
You look a little underweight. Perhaps your diet?
Not underweight. I eat the same as always.
Getting enough exercise?
Same as usual.
He's worried about something. He always has this same dream.
Ah, dream, eh? What kind of dream?
Just a plain old dream.
Uh-huh.
No, it isn't. He dreams about Aaron Burr. Only it isn't really about him. It's really about his brother Walter, who was killed in a cemetery by a drunken man.
Really? Well, very few people are actually killed in cemeteries. It's an interesting coincidence, if I may say so.
You mean, do you know somebody who was killed in a cemetery too? Is that the coincidence?
No. I meant your brother being killed in a cemetery. You know, dead in a cemetery? A sort of... Do you follow me?
No.
I wonder if you mind stepping into the next room, Mr. Andrews. I want to give you a thorough examination.
Well, frankly, it's...
Now we'll just have to take a little look at you.
Well, I hope you're satisfied. You heard what he said. Nothing the matter with me at all.
I'm glad your heart's so fine. He said so, you know. He said your heart's fine.
Sure, it's fine. My heart's fine. Everything's fine.
But everything was far from fine.
You're not going through with it, Burr.
Certainly I'm going through with it. He accepted the challenge.
But Mr. Hamilton had no intention of harming you.
Your friend brought this on himself, fellow. Hamilton called me, and I use his own words, a dangerous man, of whom I could detail a more despicable opinion. Let this be a warning that Aaron Burr brooks insult from no man.
It was 5 o'clock in the morning. Harry came into my room in pajamas and bare feet, his hair disheveled and his eyes wild.
He got him. He got him. The rotter got him. Alexander fired in the air and smiled at him, just like Walter must have smiled.
Walter? Oh, yes, dear, your brother Walter, who was killed in the cemetery.
This was at Weehawken in New Jersey.
What, your brother?
No, Hamilton and Burr, the duel. Hamilton had a white ruff around his neck. Burr was in black tights, French clothes. Alexander lifted his pistol and fired in the air and then smiled at Burr. Then that fiend from hell took deliberate aim. He took so long. He meant to take his time about it. I saw him grin. Then he pointed his pistol at Alexander and fired. He killed him in cold blood, the foul scum!
Darling, don't, darling. Here, dear, take some of these pills.
I don't want to.
Oh, take it, you'll feel better.
I don't want any, I said.
Here, darling, swallow, please. Swallow.
All right.
There, that's better.
The cad. The rotten, sneaking cad. He grinned just as he fired. Alexander clutched himself in the stomach, then shook his head and tried to walk forward. Then he fell, with his mouth open as though he wanted to say something, and Burr stood there grinning.
Harry, you know what I'm thinking?
No. What?
Well, I was just thinking that now that Alexander Hamilton is dead, well, maybe you won't see any more of Aaron Burr.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe you're right.
Maybe it was because that inevitable duel had finally taken place, but for whatever reason, Harry seemed less agitated after that. But I was wrong. Aaron Burr did not leave my husband to sweeter or more peaceful dreams. Harry said nothing about it for several mornings, but I could tell he was still being tortured by those ghosts. He brooded over his breakfast. He didn't answer me when I spoke to him. I dropped my butter knife, and he jumped.
What was that?
Only my knife.
Oh.
Harry, are you still dreaming about that man?
Oh, I wish I hadn't told you about it. Forget it, will you?
I can't forget it if you go on this way.
Can't you forget I mentioned it?
Maybe you should see a psychiatrist.
Oh, bosh.
What does he do now?
What does who do?
Aaron Burr. I don't see why he keeps coming into your dreams now.
He goes around bragging that he did it with his eyes closed. Says he didn't even look.
Didn't look when?
When he killed Alexander in that duel. He claims he can hit the ace of spades at 30 paces blindfolded. Furthermore, since you asked what he does, he jostles me at parties now.
I think you should stay out of this, Harry. It wasn't any of your business anyway. It happened so long ago.
I'm not getting into anything. It's getting into me. Can't you see that?
I see that we've got to get you away from here. Oh, maybe if you slept someplace else for a few months, you wouldn't dream about him anymore.
I don't know.
Let's go to the country tomorrow. We'll stay at the Lime Rock.
Bess, why can't we visit the Crowleys? They live in the country.
All right, fine.
Bob has a pistol. We could do a little shooting.
What do you want a pistol for?
Plenty of open space.
I think you want to get away from shooting.
Yes. Sure, dear.
We will return to A Friend to Alexander after this brief pause for a visit with two of our commercial sponsors.
You're welcome, Peter. I'm glad I was able to take care of you. The operation itself was relatively simple, but you do have to be careful. Remember, my friend, be good to your feet. I know you're anxious to get out on the course, but putting your golf shoes on inside out is bound to cause damage. But you made it through this time. Don't do it again. Goodbye, Peter. See you at the 19th hole.
Art,
Yes, Linda.
Mr. Bigfoot called while you were on with Peter. Please call him back.
Oy vey, this guy's driving me crazy. Hello, Mr. Bigfoot. This is Dr. Lukoff calling. Fine, thank you, Mr. Bigfoot. What seems to be the trouble this time? Your corns. They're getting worse? No, I'm not doubting your discomfort, Mr. Bigfoot, but since you refuse to take my advice, there's nothing more I can do for you. If you continue to insist on walking around without protection in the woods yet, you're bound to have podiatric discomfort. Foot pain. No, I know it's difficult to find shoes that fit you. Have you tried any place other than Walmart? Well, then you'll just have to have them made special for you. In the meantime, come in Thursday and I'll apply some salicylic acid and give you a corn plaster. That's all right. That's all right. Goodbye, sir. Oh, overgrown schmendrick. Why doesn't he walk on his knuckles like all the other Neanderthals around here? Hello, Dr. Lukoff. Yes? 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 Yes, ma'am. Yes? Yes, I see. Well, I think you'd better come in. Sounds like it could be quite serious. It may only be a minor inflammation, but I'll have to examine you to make a proper determination. Well, I can't very well diagnose your feet completely over the telephone. No, ma'am, I'm afraid Skype won't do. I'll have to examine your feet in person. What's your name, please? Mrs. Centipede? Uh-huh. Address, phone number? All right. Now, I need a few medical facts. Do you have any allergies? I see. Raid, Decon, and Garden Safe. Oh, makes sense. Now, which foot seems to be infected, Mrs. Centipede? The right? The right front? What was that? Oh, the right fourth from the front. Well, that should be relatively easy to check. If it was 33rd, I'd have an awful time keeping track every time I looked away. No, I'm not making fun of you, Mrs. Centipede. Yes, I realize we're all God's children. I was merely observing that the issue seems to be confined to an area that should be easy to examine. You know, I actually had a similar case last year. Carl Caterpillar, do you know him? Oh, he's part of the family. The extended family, of course. Well, Mrs. Centipede, if you'd like to come in any day this week, my office hours are 9:30 to... What's that? You can't make it this week? Oh, I see. You can only travel 4 feet per day. Yes, I understand. Well, I suppose I could make a house call. What's that? Well, then, a tree call. Yes, well, it will have to be house Saturday afternoon. 1 o'clock? Okay. First maple, second branch up, third leaf from the end. I'll be there at 1. Goodbye, ma'am. Linda, tell Sherman he can't go trick-or-treating Saturday as Sherlock Holmes. I'm taking my magnifying glass out on a case.
All right, Art.
See you later. I'm off to the 19th hole.
Dr. Art Lukoff, outsized or pint-sized, he'll fix your feet. All of them.
Good evening, gentlemen. Welcome to Tony and Nick's. Will it be just the two of you this evening?
Yeah, just us.
Very well, please follow me. Would you like a table or booth?
I think a booth would be preferable.
Yeah, we was built for comfort.
Very well, gentlemen, please follow me. Will this be satisfactory?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Elegant.
Can I start you gentlemen off with something to drink?
No, you can start us off with some information.
Information? Wait, excuse me, but didn't you two gentlemen come in last year about the same time?
You got a good memory, sweetie.
Memories make me nervous, Sammy.
Yeah, nervous.
Yes, I remember, all right. Well, is there something in particular you came in for today?
Yeah, you might say that.
We was very unhappy with the reception we got last time. We very generously offered our services and was unceremoniously rebuffed.
Huh?
They showed us the door, remember?
Oh, yeah, the door.
Well, just what is it you want?
Well, we understand that though you recently celebrated your first anniversary and that you've been very successful with special event specials.
Well, yes, we have brisket Mondays, wine Wednesdays. We had a dogfish dinner.
Dogfish? I heard a catfish, but dogfish?
Dogfish Head, it's a new beer. For connoisseurs?
Oh, lovely.
What do you mean, lovely? Who wants dogfish heads from a common sewer?
You know, you ain't a bit funny. Now let the lady finish her spiel.
Thank you. We have our famous Taste of Italy nights, and Tuesday kids make their own pizzas.
What about entertainment?
We have live acoustic music in our back party room.
Well, it sounds like you's got a thriving establishment here, Missy.
Yeah, positively excruciating.
Now may I bring you a menu?
Yeah, and bring us the manager.
Oh, well, I'm sorry, but our owner, Mr. Cafaro, isn't here right now. I can leave him a message for you.
Yeah. You can tell him that Sammy and Rocco is into a new racket now. We ain't crooning Salone songs no more. We are now providing for a nominal but substantial sum, personal and professional protection. And we would like to offer him our very reliable services.
Protection?
Yeah.
Protection from what?
Unfortunate circumstances.
Yeah, unforeseen occurrences.
Oh, I see. Well, let me tell you something, you two comic book characters. We've got a good thing going here. We have worked like dogs.
Dogfish.
Shut up! We have worked our antipastos off, making this a destination for fine Italian cuisine. Look at our marinated artichokes, our balsamic cipollini onions, our gorgonzola, dolce latte, bonetavola, provolone, whole grain organic pastas, chicken parmigiana made with slow roasted dark meat, and so many different kinds of pizza we can't even keep track of them. So I'm telling you that if anybody tries to mess with anybody at Tony and Nick's, you'd better be sure that they're the ones who are going to encounter unfortunate occurrences. They're the ones who are going to need protection. We're playing for keeps here, and we don't intend to let a couple of cheap refugees from Runyon Land take advantage of us. You ought to be ashamed of yourselves. In this day and age, trying to pull an old stunt like that. Protection indeed. Well, your kind of nonsense went out with spats. Now, the two of you get out of here, and don't you dare come back to this establishment until you apologize for your despicable inferences and attempts at intimidation. This is a respectable place of business. Do you understand? Do you?
Yes, ma'am.
We're sorry.
We're kind of new at this. We didn't mean no harm.
Really, we didn't. We're just misguided.
Please forgive us.
Well, all right then. I'm sorry I yelled at you. I guess you just don't know any better. Do you want a menu now?
Yes, please.
Yes, please. I want to try that dogfish head beer. Don't you, Sammy?
Yeah, most definitely.
Very well. 2 dogfish head beers coming up.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hey, Rocco,
What, Sammy?
I think we should have stuck to singing.
Tell me about it.
Hey, Rocco,
What?
what a spats.
Shut up and pass the mozzarella and tomato.
Tony and Nick's Italian Kitchen. Delicious cuisine with no patience for kibitzers. We return you now to the second act of James Thurber's A Friend to Alexander, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
vacation seemed a success at first. When we arrived at the Crowley's house in the cab, I thought I'd left my suitcase at the railroad station. Harry laughed his old normal laugh for the first time in many days as he found it and handed it to me. And then he leaned over and kissed me.
Good old Connecticut.
Oh, Harry, this is wonderful.
Oh, we'll have a grand time.
Yes, dear.
Hello, Bess.
Hey, hi, Harry.
Good old Bob. Remind me to tell him that rabbit joke.
All right. Hello, Madison.
I'll take your bags, Mr. Andrews.
Thank you, Madison. Good to see you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello there.
Bess, what a wonderful dress.
Do you like it?
Well, Bob, how's the old country squire?
Fine, how have you been?
Never better. Boy, it's good to be here. Hello, Alice.
Well, you too. I'm so glad you've come. Gets kind of dull here in the hinterlands.
I'm glad, too.
Say, wait till you get one of our extra cold martinis into you. You'll feel shipshape.
Still know how to mix them, huh?
Better than ever. Gets lots of practice these long country winters. Stir 50 times just as fast as you can. That's the secret of martini, boy.
And nobody makes them like you, Bob.
Bess, Alice, here you go. Happy days.
Saludos.
Mud in your eye.
Well, how have you been, boy?
Never better, Bob. Never better. Gee, it's great to be out here.
A nice, peaceful weekend is just what Harry needs.
Been busy, eh, Harry?
Not too. Did a big provincial house out in Southampton, and we've got a 26-story office building on the boards.
Wow, and he says he hasn't been too busy. Refills, anybody?
As soon as I check with Clothita on dinner. Now, don't you boys go drinking all the dividends.
So how have you been, Harry?
I told you, never better. What do you mean?
Well, I'm thinking about Walter.
Oh, come on, I'm over that. No use brooding over it, it's just one of those things.
Is he over it, Bess?
You heard the man.
Well, I'm glad you got the right slant on it, boy.
I do need something, though.
What's that?
A good night's sleep.
Well, you've come to the right place, but not until after what I've been promised will be one of Clothita's divine dinners.
Oh, it was grand seeing Harry's face relaxed and smiling over his cocktail glass. When I went to bed that night, I felt that nasty old business of the dream was over, and I was happy. But when I awoke the next morning, I saw my husband lying rigid on his back, staring at the ceiling.
One Henry Andrews, an architect.
What's the matter, dear?
Nothing.
Oh, why don't you go back to sleep, Harry? It's only 8 o'clock, and this is the country.
One Henry Andrews, an architect.
What are you talking about?
That's what he calls me.
Calls you who?
One Henry Andrews, an architect. He keeps saying it in this nasty little sneering voice. One Henry Andrews!
Harry, please don't yell. You'll wake the whole house. It's early and people want to sleep.
I'm beneath him. Just anybody. I'm a man in a gray suit. Be on your good behavior, my good man, he says to me, or I shall have one of my lackeys give you a taste of the riding crop.
Why should he say that to you?
You ask me why.
He wasn't such a great man, was he? I mean, didn't he try to sell Louisiana back to the French or something behind Washington's back?
He was a traitor.
Then why worry about what he says?
He was a scoundrel. A very brilliant mind.
I was hoping you wouldn't dream about him anymore. I thought if we came up here...
It's him or me. I can't stand this forever.
Well, neither can I. As I had expected, Harry spent most of the afternoon with Bob, shooting at targets. At first, they just aimed at the paper squares. It all seemed to be good-natured and in fun. After a while, Harry stood with his back to the dead tree trunk on which the targets were nailed. Then he walked 30 paces ahead, in a stiff-legged manner, and his face was set in stern lines. His revolver was at arm's length above his head. Then he turned suddenly and fired. Bob dropped to the ground, scared.
Hey, what's the big idea, Harry?
Harry didn't answer. He started to walk back to that dead tree trunk again. Then, with his back to the targets, he began marking off 30 paces. Bob called to him.
I think they kept their arms hanging straight down. I don't think they stuck them up in the air.
My husband continued to count off. At the 30th step, he lowered his arm, wheeled about suddenly, and fired from his hip.
Hey there, watch out!
2 of the shots missed the tree, but the last one hit it. Like a mechanical man or someone in a trance, Harry began to walk back to the tree again without a word, his lips tight, his eyes bright, his breathing coming fast.
Hey, look, it's my turn.
But Harry, about-faced, stalked on. This time when he fired, his eyes were closed. Poor Bob didn't know what to make of his strange behavior.
Good heavens, man. Give me that gun, will you?
Without a protest, Harry let him have it. For the first time, he spoke.
I need a lot more practice, I guess.
Well, not with me standing around. Come on, let's get back to the house and shake up a drink. Gee, I've got the jumps.
I need a lot more practice.
I guess I must have slept soundly that night, because I didn't hear him leave the room. He must have crawled out of bed, dressed silently, and crept out of the room. The sun was just coming up, and the light was hard, and the air was cold. Then I heard the shots. Harry! I threw on a dressing gown and ran downstairs. The Crowleys were in the hall.
Oh, good heavens, Bess!
Is Harry all right?
Sounds like it.
Where is he? What is he doing?
It sounds as though he's out behind the studio, shooting.
Alice. Oh,
Now, take it easy, Bess. Bob will go out and get him, and maybe he had a nightmare or walked in his sleep.
no, he never walks in his sleep. He's awake, all right.
Well, let's go down and get some coffee. He'll need some.
I'll need some, too. What the dickens is the matter with him anyway?
I don't know. I'm so sorry.
Bob, you go get him.
At your service, madam. Alive or dead.
Bob, stop it.
Okay, I'll do my best.
Come on, Bess. We'll go to the kitchen.
What's that noise?
Where?
In the kitchen.
Oh, it's you, Madison.
Yes, ma'am.
Why, you're shaking.
I was just wondering, ma'am.
It's all right, Madison. You go on back to bed.
Clothita was scared, ma'am, and I thought.
Will you tell Clothita that it's all right? Mr. Andrews is shooting a little. He couldn't sleep.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know what to do, Alice. I don't know what to do. I guess the Crowleys were relieved when the cab came to drive us to the station early that day. Their maid had threatened to leave. The neighbors were complaining about the early morning disturbance, and their own nerves were ragged.
Boy, I need a drink after that one.
Yes, and make mine a stiff one.
Sure glad he's gone.
Well, it's either he or Clothita. Can't afford to lose a good cook these days.
So, what do you think's the matter with him?
I don't know. It's what Clothita would call the shoots, I guess.
You know, he said a funny thing when I went out and got him this morning.
Well, let's have it. I could stand a funny thing.
I asked him what the deuce he was doing out there in that freezing air with only his pants and shirt and shoes on. And you know what he said?
What?
I'll get him one of these nights. That's just what he said.
By this time, I was really frightened. When we returned to the city, Harry was a picture of gloom. Our first night back, I looked at him as he lay on the chaise longue in my bedroom in his blue pajamas, smoking a cigarette. He was haggard and tired, and he kept biting his lower lip. I mixed a scotch and water nightcap for him.
No thanks. No liquor. I need a steady hand. Watch my hand. Does it tremble?
No.
Is it steady?
Yes, very.
That's good. That's very good. You need a steady hand, you know.
For what, dear?
Oh. Things.
Harry, will you sleep in my room tonight?
No. You'd keep shaking me all night to keep me awake. You're afraid to let me meet him.
Are you still on that?
Why do you think everybody's better than I am? I can outshoot him the best day he ever lived.
Oh, of course, dear.
In the waistcoat, right next to the middle button. He has 3 big pearl buttons on his waistcoat. They came from France.
Why don't you dream about somebody else, anybody else, please?
Oh, you'd like that, wouldn't you? You'd like to have me dream about somebody who wouldn't hurt a fly. Somebody like that, because you know I'd never get into a duel with him.
A duel? You're dreaming of a duel now?
Ever since Hamilton died. Burr knows I hate him. It's nearly over now.
Harry.
It's him or me. I'll get him, the rotter.
Harry!
I know I'll get him. You see, I have a modern pistol. He has to use an old-fashioned single-shot muzzle loader.
Is that quite fair?
Fair? What do I care if it's fair or not? Was it fair the way he shot Alexander? Was it?
Don't be mad at me, Harry!
Oh, I'm sorry, darling.
I'm very unhappy.
I'm sorry, darling.
And I'm worried sick.
I'm sorry, darling. Don't cry. Please don't cry. It upsets me when you cry. And I mustn't be upset. I must be very calm, rested. My hand must be steady tonight. Especially tonight.
Oh, I'm so worried, Harry.
Don't worry about me. I'll be all right. I'll be fine. My hand is like a rock.
Later, when I kissed him goodnight, I knew it was really goodbye. He didn't say anything, and neither did I. It's just that he seemed so far away, in another world, and each moment I felt that he was becoming more and more remote. Something told me he wasn't coming back. I couldn't sleep. After an hour of tossing and turning, I went to Harry's room. He was sleeping peacefully. I sat down in his chair and watched over him for a long while. Then finally, I must have fallen asleep.
A beautiful morning.
It was about 5 in the morning when I awoke. Harry was talking in his sleep.
Ah, yes, the good doctor. Good of you to come, doctor. Yes, often misty at this hour.
Harry,
Are they loaded? Splendid.
Harry, wake up.
Yes, I'm perfectly ready. Is Mr. Burr? He is. Good. Shall we proceed? No, I do not care to make a statement. Very well. Yes, I understand perfectly. 10 paces, turn and fire at the dropping of the handkerchief. Yes, 10 paces.
Harry.
Thank you for acting as my second, Mr. J. Of course, extremely good of you. Very well then. I'm quite ready. 1,
Harry.
2, 3,
Harry, please don't.
4, 5, 6,
Harry!
7, 8, 9, 10!
Harry! Oh no! Harry! Dear Harry! As Harry's attending physician, Dr. Fox was summoned that morning to examine the body.
Extraordinary. His heart was as sound as a dollar when I saw him the other day.
He did seem to be fine, didn't he, Dr. Fox?
I can't understand it.
What?
It's almost as if... Well, I don't know.
What?
His heart just stopped, almost as if he'd been shot.
Shot.
Yes. Of course, there are no gunshot wounds and no...
Shot.
No, Mrs. Andrews.
That's it. Shot.
Now, you'll have to calm yourself. You can't help him now.
I should have known it would happen. I looked over Harry's covered, lifeless body. His arm was sticking out from under the sheet, and I stared at his right hand. The 3 fingers next to the index finger were closed stiffly on the palm, as if gripping the handle of a pistol. The taut thumb was doing its part to hold that invisible handle tightly and unwaveringly. But it was the index finger which held my eye the longest. I bent close and looked carefully to make sure I was right. Yes, it was so. That index finger was curved inward slightly, as if it were about to press the trigger of a pistol. So there had been a duel after all. Perhaps there was no gunshot wound, but Harry had been shot as surely as he was dead. Dr. Fox saw me staring and spoke to me.
What are you looking at, Mrs. Andrews?
Harry never even fired a shot. Aaron Burr killed him the way he killed Hamilton.
What are you talking about?
Aaron Burr shot him through the heart. I knew he would.
Yes, but there's no evidence.
I knew he would. Then Dr. Fox put an arm around me. He looked at me gently and a bit frightened. the way I used to look at Harry when he told me about his dreams. He led me to his assistant and whispered something. He thought I didn't hear him, but I did.
She's crazy. Stark, raving crazy.
I let the assistant take me away. Maybe he thought I was crazy too. But now I knew. Aaron Burr got Harry, just as he had killed Hamilton in that old quarrel of long, long ago.
Ah! I knew he would! I knew he would!
Suspense, in which we have presented A Friend to Alexander by James Thurber. A Friend to Alexander was adapted for radio by Freya Howard and originally produced by William Spear. The music was composed by Herman Stein. And now, a word from one of our sponsors.
Good evening. Welcome to Gabby's. So nice to see you. 2 for dinner?
Yes, please.
Right this way. I hope this table is satisfactory.
Oh, this is fine.
I think something a little further away from the wall would be nice.
Certainly. Will this table do?
Yes, thank you.
Can I start you off with something to drink?
Yes, I'll have a frozen margarita with no salt.
Yes, ma'am. And you, sir?
I'll have the same, but with salt.
He'll have plain water, no lemon.
But, plain water, no lemon.
Yes, sir.
I don't like to sit next to the wall. It's always cold when you sit next to a wall.
I don't think it's cold. I think it's very comfortable.
Here's your water, sir. No lemon.
Thank you.
Your margarita will be right out, ma'am. Are you ready to order your dinner?
Well, what do you recommend tonight?
Well, we have our usual menu items, including tortillas, fajitas, enchiladas, burritos, chimichangas, salmon salad, shrimp quesadillas. We have a lovely grilled portobello mushroom wrap with spinach and red peppers. And of course, rice and beans are available with any meal.
All right. I think I'll have a combination steak and chicken fajita with tortillas and rice and beans on the side. Do you have fresh guacamole?
Oh, yes, that is a specialty of the house. We make it to order right at your table. We only use the freshest avocados and our own array of fine ingredients.
Well, I'll start with that.
Yes, ma'am. And you, sir?
Oh, I think I'll have a Mexican omelet heavy on the onions and hard-shell tacos.
He'll have scrambled eggs and white toast.
Oh, Agatha.
Don't, oh, Agatha, me. He'll have scrambled eggs with white toast.
Yes, ma'am. Would you like coffee with that, sir?
Espresso, please.
He'll have milk.
Aggie.
You'll have milk.
Milk.
Yes, sir. I'll be back with your orders immediately.
Thank you, and don't forget my margarita.
Oh, I'm sure it's ready, ma'am. I'll be right back.
Brings me into this Mexican restaurant and I can't even order.
What are you muttering about?
I don't see why you bring me into a place like this and you don't even let me eat what they have to offer.
I like Mexican food.
Well, so do I.
Yes, but you have an ulcer. It's not my fault if you don't take care of yourself. The doctor said you've got a hole in your stomach the size of a softball, and you have to eat plain food if it's ever going to heal.
Well, why do you have to order all the good stuff while I get stuck eating scrambled eggs?
I don't have an ulcer. You have an ulcer. You're the one who doesn't take care of himself. You don't know how to take care of yourself. You don't know how to rest. The doctor says that you have way too much stress in your life.
Stress.
Yes, stress. What do you think causes ulcers? Stress! What are you doing with all that stress? You're gonna bottle it and sell it?
Here's your frozen margarita, ma'am. No salt.
Thank you.
Pardon me?
Oh, it's just this husband of mine. He makes me so gosh darn mad.
Oh, I'm so sorry. He seems like such a nice gentleman.
Thank you.
Excuse me, please.
Well, what was that all about? You flirted with other women now? Just what's going on between you two?
Nothing. She said I was nice.
How would she know? Listen to me, Homer Braunschweiger. The less you play around with strange women, the sooner you'll find peace and harmony in your life, and the sooner you'll get rid of that ulcer that's plaguing you. Do you hear me? Do you?
Yes, dear.
What?
Yes, I hear you. I always hear you.
What is that supposed to mean?
It means I hear you. You're right here. I hear you. When you're not here, I hear you. I always hear you. Do you hear me? I always hear you.
Well, I can take a hint when my presence is no longer required at the dinner table. Good night, Mr. Braunschweiger.
Good night. She talks to me about stress.
The lady has gone, sir?
She's gone.
Shall I cancel her order?
No, I guess you better make it to go.
Yes, sir. Sir? I hope you don't mind me asking this. I know it may seem a bit, forward.
Oh?
I mean, I don't wish to be impetuous.
Oh.
It's only because you seem like such a nice man.
I know you said that before.
So you wouldn't mind if I asked you a question? A little question?
Oh, no, I don't mind at all. I don't mind at all.
Well, do you still want to have scrambled eggs with white toast?
I should say not. A Mexican omelet with all the trimmings and a bottle of Tabasco. Yahoo!
Yes, sir, coming right up.
Gabby's Cafe, where the customer is always right. Ladies and gentlemen, after a brief intermission, we will present Arch Oboler's Lights Out. Thank you.
Hello, Thornton Inc. Oh, I'm sorry. I think you want Thornton Plumbing. That's quite all right. Hello, Thornton Plumbing.
Mr. Thornton, this is Mrs. Herringbone.
Oh, yes, Mrs. Herringbone. George should be there any minute.
Well, your man is here, Mr. Thornton. That's why I'm calling.
Yes?
Mr. Thornton, I am a dedicated vocalist. I am preparing for a concert at the Bardavon. I'm trying to rehearse, and your man, George, is making so much noise that I can't hear my singing for all the horrible banging and scraping.
Well, I'm sorry, Mrs. Herringbone, but you've got pretty old pipes.
I beg your pardon.
I'm sure they haven't been tended for years.
Just what are you inferring?
I wouldn't want to have to listen to those pipes either. They must give out an awful sound.
Mr. Thornton, I'll have you know that my vocal cords are as in fine condition as they were when I was singing for Arthur Godfrey.
Oh, Mrs. Herringbone, I was talking about your water pipes.
Oh, I see. Well, nevertheless, I cannot work with this monstrous cacophony coming from the bathroom.
Is George there now?
Yes, he is.
Let me talk to him.
Oh, plumber! Plumber!
Yeah!
Mr. Thornton wishes to speak with you on the telephone.
Okay. Hello?
George, Mrs. Herringbone is a very sensitive customer. Could you possibly be a little more discreet while you work?
Well, I have to bang on the pipes to loosen the flange.
Well, do you have to make so much noise?
Because the hammer is made of metal and the pipe is made of metal.
Can't you put something between the hammer and the pipe so it won't make as much noise?
I could suggest something, yeah?
Never mind, never mind.
You know, this ain't no picnic. These pipes ain't been touched in 20 years.
I know.
And you should see the nipples she's got.
What?
I mean on the pipe connector, lady.
Look, take a terry cloth towel and wrap it around the pipe so that it will soften the noise. Can you do that?
Oh, I guess so.
Thank you. Now, please put Mrs. Herringbone back on the phone.
He wants you, Hildegard.
Yes?
Mrs. Herringbone, I've asked George to soften his blows. You shouldn't experience any further aggravation. and I'm very sorry for the disturbance.
Well, thank you, Mr. Thornton. Earl, you're very sweet. In fact, I'm going to do something for you that I never do for anybody else.
Yes?
I'm going to come right down to your shop and give you a great big bunch of tickets to my concert. I'm sure you'll just love it.
Oh, I'm sure I will. Thank you very much, Mrs. Herringbone.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thornton Incorporated, Thornton Hardware, Thornton Electric, and Thornton Plumbing. We do everything, and we do it just for you.
Lights out, everybody. It is later than you think. Welcome to Lights Out. We bring you stories of the supernatural and the supernormal, dramatizing the fantasies and the mysteries of the unknown. As we've told you in the past, these plays are not for the timid soul or the faint of heart. We tell you this frankly, so if you wish to avoid the tension of these plays, we urge you calmly but sincerely to turn off your radio now. Tonight, Lights Out presents another psychological drama, a play in which the principal part is taken not by the character himself, but his thoughts. And now, the dream. The voice you are about to hear is that of the thoughts of one Darrell Hall, accused murderer, sitting in a courtroom awaiting the return of the jury, which is to decide whether he is to live or die. And as he waits, the thoughts in his mind seethe and swirl, seethe and swirl, seethe and swirl.
Guilty, not guilty, guilty, not guilty, guilty, not guilty, guilty. Father in heaven, why don't I stop thinking those words? Words those jurymen are saying.
Not guilty. Not guilty. I think he's not guilty.
Not guilty. No, I've got to stop thinking of what's going on in that room. The jury. I've got to stop thinking of them. I've got to keep my head clear. I've got to figure things out. When did all this start? Yes, I remember. It was that night. Wayne and I were sitting in my room talking about dreams. I remember he said...
Oh, come on, Darrell. Don't expect me to believe that one.
Well, I'm certainly telling you the truth.
Oh, a fellow with your imagination, wasting your time teaching biology to a bunch of co-ed nitwits. No, sir. You should be writing fiction.
I assure you, my dear Wayne, I've told you the truth.
You're really serious?
Of course I am.
You actually mean that in all your life you've never had a dream?
Never.
Not even when you were a child?
To my knowledge, I have never had a dream in all my life.
Well, how do you like that?
I like it very well. I close my eyes, oblivion. And then I wake up. No nightmare hangovers for me, thank you.
Now, wait a minute, Darrell. Let me get this straight. You mean you've never even had a dream after eating a Welsh rarebit at midnight or after eating a dozen green apples or anything like that?
Believe me, Wayne, I've never had a dream of any shape, form, or description in all my life. A dream to me is just a word, something that happens to other people, but not to me.
But everyone must dream.
Well, perhaps, but it just so happens that my subconscious doesn't work that way. I tell you again, I have never dreamt.
Well, what do you know about that? Just unbelievable, I tell you. Unbelievable.
Yes, that's what he said. Unbelievable. It was unbelievable that I'd never dreamt. And then after a while, he went away and left me there. It was early evening, but I remember that somehow, strangely, I was very tired. I sat down in the easy chair. Oh, I'm so tired. I closed my eyes. I slept. And then it happened. A strange murmuring in my head. Yes, that's how it started. A murmuring as if in warning. And then the darkness around me, strange faces lifting and falling. White faces, faces without hope, their eyes full of horror. Their white blood was dripping, bleeding wordlessly in the ways that made the heart in me cry out in pity. Suddenly, I knew I was asleep and dreaming. Yes, dreaming for the first time in my life. And these faces I was seeing were things out of a dream. Even as I knew that, the dream was gone. Blackness. And yet I knew that I was still asleep. I had a terrible feeling of foreboding, of a horror to come in that dream. What? How? I didn't know. But I wanted to stop sleeping. I wanted to open my eyes quickly before... And then I saw her moving slowly toward me out of the darkness that was my dream. At first, a white, wraith-like thing, and then I saw it was a woman. Yes, the body of a woman, but the face, Father in heaven, that face, gross, unclean, thick, bestial brows, the lecherous writhing of thin crimson lips that lifted from teeth white and pointed and flecked with blood. Yes, her glorious body and a face from hell. Closer, closer to me, and then she spoke one word.
Kill.
Yes, that's what she said. Kill. And as she said it, she moved closer. Her hands went out, her eyes. In my dream, I screamed. I awoke. I remember, just at the second, the clock on the mantel began striking. 5, 6, 7. Thankfully, I counted each chime, since the hearing of it meant that I was awake. Awake out of the horror of that dream. When the clock had stopped chiming, I sat there. My one thought was, if this be dreaming, let me never dream again. I heard a sound. What was that? I sat still, afraid to move. And then I laughed. It was my own heart. My own heart. Still pounding with fright at what I'd seen in my first dream. Oh, why do I sit here thinking of what has been? The jury in there, they've got to hang me.
Guilty. Hang him.
No, I mustn't think of them. Better to keep my thoughts on how it all started. Better to figure things out. Where was I? Ah, yes. Sitting there, listening to the beating of my heart, thinking of the horror of that dream. And then, suddenly, that same wordless murmur I'd heard in my dream was whispering in my head again. And quickly as it began, it was gone. How could this be? I was awake. Awake! This was no dream. Then, why had I heard that wordless entreaty? That same sound that had come from those miserable white faces that had floated before me while I slept. Why?
Ah.
I heard it. A sound behind me. Who? Why, yes, my friend Wayne. It must be he. Come back into the room, standing behind my chair, thinking I was asleep. I turned around and said, Wayne, is that you? Ah! Yes, I screamed. I screamed so loudly there was blood in my throat, for it was she again, that woman out of my dream. But this wasn't a dream. She was standing there, I tell you. She was standing there looking at me, and those lips out of hell said that one word.
Kill.
I jumped to my feet. No one in the room, I tell you. No one, I tell you. I was standing there, my head reeling. Who was she? Where did she come from? But there was no one in the room. Had there been anyone there? I didn't sleep that night. But by morning, yes, by morning, I had figured it all out. 2 dreams. That's what it had been. And the second had been more vivid than the first. Why, of course, I had never dreamed before, so of course my first dreams would seem like reality. How easy it was to quiet the unrest in my mind. Easy to make oneself believe what one wants to believe. And yet, some measure of uncertainty remained with me, and Mary saw it in my face when I had dinner with her that night.
Daryl, do you mind if I ask you something?
Why, with a question, of course not.
Is there something wrong?
You mean with the dinner? Well, you know this is my favorite restaurant.
With you, dear. Has something gone wrong at the university?
Why do you ask that?
The worry in your eyes.
Oh.
What is it, dear?
Oh, it's nothing. It's nothing important.
You changed your mind about loving me.
Mary.
Then tell me what it is, please.
All right. It's really nothing to concern yourself over, just a dream.
Dream? Daryl, you dreamt?
Yes, last night.
Oh, how marvelous! Now you're normal even when you sleep.
That's right. I'm back to normal.
And here I thought from the expression on your face that it was something really important. And I suppose in your first dream you dreamt of a glorious, seductive woman.
No, Mary.
Ah. Did you have a nightmare?
If you don't mind, let's not talk about it anymore. Shall we order dessert now? Let's see. I suggest the hot green apple pie with cheese.
Daryl, was it as bad as all that?
Horrible.
Oh, that's cruel. Your very first dream, an unhappy one. Oh, well, I'm sure that if you dream again, you've more interesting times ahead. Oh, Daryl, look at the time, 7:01, and we promised the Armstrongs we'd pick them up at 7:15. Daryl, what is it? Your face.
Do you hear it?
Hear what?
You do hear it, don't you? The voices.
Voices? Daryl, what are you talking about? Why, the people in this restaurant are most well behaved.
Gone. Just the way it was before.
Daryl, please, if this is a joke, please tell me. Daryl, what is it? What are you staring at? What's behind my chair? What's there, Daryl? Tell me.
Kill.
Daryl, the table! Why did you throw over the table, Daryl? What is it? What is it? Why did you scream like that? What's the matter with you, Daryl?
Yes, she wanted to know why I had done it. Screamed, thrown over the table. They all wanted to know, but how could I tell them? Tell them of her, standing behind Mary's chair, that thing of degradation, and those lips saying kill. I went home. Mary thought I was overworked.
Darling, you've been working so hard. Go home and rest, dear. That's all you need. Rest.
Rest. Rest. What good was rest? I had to reason things out. All my life I'd lived with reason, and then this horror. I had to know what it meant, though I was certain it was no dream. What I had seen in the restaurant was no thing of sleep. Hallucination. Yes, that was it. I had been working hard. Too much work was the answer, and the rest would cure that. That, yes, indeed. And so I rested through the next day. It was quite dark when I awoke. The phone rang. It was Mary, calling to find out how I felt.
Are you sure you're all right, Daryl?
Yes, Mary. Yes, I'm fine, thank you.
You sound all right.
Your advice was good, dear. Apparently, rest was just what I needed.
Then go along back to bed. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right, dear. Thanks for calling.
Goodbye, Daryl. Sleep well tonight.
I hung up the receiver. And then the clock on the mantel began striking.
Always at 7.
Yes, that was true. Each time it had been 7 when it happened. And then, with the last chime of the clock, I realized it was 7 again. 7! Would I see her again? I stood there, back up against the wall, waiting. So quiet, I could hear the clock ticking away the seconds. Would it happen again? This hallucination of mine? I waited. I heard no pitiful murmur of voices, just quiet. So dark in the room, I could see the shadowy emptiness of the chair against the other wall. And then the chair was no longer empty. There was someone in it. I said, "Who's there? Talk to me. Who's there?" No answer. The strange darkness in the room. Deeper and deeper, I could see nothing. And then two swirling pools of flame and white, closer and closer. I stood there. I couldn't move. A rumbling began in my brain. Fear, I tell you. Fear tearing up my brain, louder and louder, while those red circles of light came closer and closer. Father in heaven, what was it? What? And then I knew. It was her eyes burning close into mine, into the brain of me, pounding one thought into me.
Kill. 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 Kill.
Why did she say that? Why? Why? Kill whom? Why should I kill? Why should I kill? If I had known then. The jury. They're coming back. The verdict. What? No, not yet. Still out. Oh, they've got to find me guilty. I've got to hang. I've got to. If I live, oh, but I mustn't think of that. I must think of what happened. Where was I? Ah, yes. That woman. Her eyes pounding that word into me, and then gone again. This was no dream. Then what? A voice within me whispered. No! That horror was real! It was real as the flesh of me! And with that realization, a cold wind blew around me and latched at my heart. Oh, that she was reality. Somehow I knew that I was lost. And so it began. Night after night, at the stroke of 7, first that wailing dirge of those lost souls, and then her writhing lips.
Kill. 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 Kill.
Kill, 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 kill. Father in heaven, words began pounding in my head so that even when she wasn't there, I heard them. If I hid in my room, if I didn't go out, people would see this madness that had come over me. I went nowhere, and soon I knew they were talking of me. Wayne.
I don't know what's come over Daryl. Hides in his rooms, won't even talk to me. Something's wrong, very
And Mary.
wrong.
Please, Daryl, you've got to let me see you. This talking over the phone, what's wrong? What's wrong?
Night after night, the horror. And the greater horror.
Kill. Kill.
Mary pleaded with me.
Kill.
Daryl, if you love
Kill.
me, please let me see you. Talk to you. Come over to my house tonight. Oh, please, Daryl, perhaps I can help you. Please, darling. Please.
I didn't want to go, but I went that night. Perhaps she could help. Yes. Help me understand the madness of those wailing voices, drifting white faces, understand the horror of that woman. Mary, so understanding, so gentle. She could help me clear my head of the madness.
Oh, Daryl, you're here at last.
Mary, help me. You will help me.
Oh, Daryl, your face, so white.
Oh,
Don't talk yet. Sit here and rest.
I'm sane, Mary. Believe me, I'm sane.
Of course, dearest. Of course you are.
Is that madness outside of me, those drifting white faces moaning at me?
Rest, darling.
And that woman out of hell.
Woman?
Her eyes, lips, telling me to... The time.
What?
The time. What time is it?
Why, it's 7. Daryl, what is it?
I'd lost track. I've got to get out of here.
Daryl, don't. Wait, don't go.
Too late.
Daryl, what is it?
Too late.
Late.
You hear them, don't you, Mary?
I'll call a doctor.
Listen to them. Their voices are so loud tonight. Listen, Mary.
Daryl, don't! There's no one here!
Do you hear them? You must hear them. What are they saying? Louder and louder, trying to tell me something. What are you saying out there? What are you telling me?
Daryl, stop! Stop!
They're gone. The faces, voices, gone. Now she'll be here.
Daryl, please, you're frightening me.
Kill. 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 Kill.
You hear her, Mary? You
Kill.
hear her?
No, Daryl, please.
Kill.
Louder and louder and
Kill.
louder. I hear her.
Kill.
Make her stop, Mary.
Kill.
Stop it. Stop it. I can't
Kill.
take anymore.
Kill.
Yes. Yes. Go
Kill.
away. Go away and I'll kill.
Kill.
I'll kill. I'll kill.
Daryl, don't!
Kill. 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 Ah! Mary! Mary! Dead. I had killed her. My sweet, gentle little Mary. Killed her with my own hand. I opened my hand. She fell to the floor. I went out into the street. People all around me hurrying. I was in no hurry. What that woman had wanted, I had done. I had killed. I walked all night, but it didn't matter where. And in the morning, I found myself on the campus of the school, before the very building in which a class was waiting for my lecture. I went in. I walked up on the platform and looked down into their faces. I said to them, "Ladies and gentlemen, my lecture today will be on a selective fact of evolutionary..." I stopped. A murmur in the air. Those voices again. But it was broad daylight. I'd never heard those voices in daylight before. What did they want of me? What were they saying? There was a strangeness in their pitiful voices. Yes, yes, like a dirge of tears who fall for someone, for me, yes, for me, and then... Her voice, laughing triumphantly. Then I understood. For the first time, I understood everything. She had triumphed over me. That's why those lost souls were wailing a dirge over me. I was hers forever. I turned and ran out of there like a madman. Ran, and as I ran, those voices of the damned were taunting me.
You are doomed as we are doomed. We listened to her.
Now you are one of us.
Through all eternity.
No! I covered my ears with my hands and ran. No use. I heard them.
Go to the gallows.
Pay for what you have done.
No rest for those who murder.
One hope, man, one hope.
So that was it. My one hope. If I paid society for my crime, she would fail. I would be free of her. That thing, that essence of evil. That phantom who called me to murder so that their souls would be slaves to her for all eternity. Yes, I'd pay for my crime. I ran all the way back to Mary's house. Yes, I'd gladly pay with my life to have peace for the rest of oblivion. I went back into the house. Yes, Mary was lying there, cold. I lifted her. Those same hands that had crushed the life out of her lifted her and carried her out into the sun. My eyes were so filled with tears that I could hardly see where I walked. People began milling around me.
He's got a woman in his arms.
Why is he carrying her?
Must have fainted.
No, she's dead.
What?
Who killed her?
Oh, my God. What is going on?
Hey, mister, who killed her?
I did.
Who killed her?
I killed her. With my own hands, I killed her. Please, I want to die for it. And then the trial. My friends, they wanted to save me. Clever attorneys, sanity commissions, and twists of the law. But I wanted to die. I tell you, I had to die. If they set me free, if I lived and died as most men die, the death they call a natural one, then she would have me. Oh no, I want to hang by the neck until dead. I want that noose around my neck, the trap beneath my feet. The jailer pulls the switch. My feet dancing in the air, the noose strangling me as my hand strangled Mary, free of that horror with the writhing lips and blood-stained teeth.
Order in the court! Order in the court!
The jury, they're coming in. Guilty. They've got to find me guilty.
Gentlemen of the jury, have you reached a verdict?
We have, Your Honor.
The foreman will read the verdict.
Guilty. You've got to find me guilty. Guilty. Guilty.
We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of murder in the first degree.
Guilty! You hear that? All of you, guilty! I'll be free of you. I'll have peace. You failed, you fiend. You can't have me. You can't have me. No, no. Keep away. Keep away. You'll never get it.
What happened? What's up?
Is he all right?
What's wrong?
Doctor!
Stand back, everybody.
Doctor, right this way.
Ambulance! Call an ambulance!
Stand back, please. It's no use. This man is dead. Heart attack.
Holy. Would you take a look at his face?
Yeah, as if he was looking at the devil himself.
Is there a power of evil loose in the world? If not, how can so much evil be done in the world? We'll let you ponder that thought on your way home tonight. Lights Out was originally written and produced by Arch Obler. We'll be back for a curtain call after this final commercial announcement.
Oh, boy, what a night. Shrieking screams, droning voices. Gee, have I got a headache. Maybe I better stop in at Matthew's Pharmacy and get something for it. Hello, Ray.
Hi, Ray.
Hello, Ray.
How are you, Ray?
I'm all right, Ray. I have a bit of a headache, though. I'm wondering if I should take something for it.
Well, Ray, the simplest thing would be something over the counter like aspirin or Tylenol.
Really, Ray?
Or ibuprofen.
Ibuprofen, Ray?
Or maybe you'd prefer Aleve, Ray.
Yeah, Ray, I don't get headaches very often. I'm not used to taking that stuff. What do you think, Ray?
Well, Ray, frankly, I think you'll find prevention is always the best medicine.
Prevention, Ray?
That's right, Ray. Tell them about it, gang.
Button up your overcoat when the whip is free. Take good care of yourself, you belong to me. Eat an apple every day, go to bed by 3. Take good care of yourself, you belong to me. Be careful crossing streets, ooh, ooh, cut out sweets, ooh, ooh, lay off meat, ooh, ooh, you'll get a pain and ruin your tum-tum. Wear your flannel underwear when you climb a tree. Take good care of yourself, you belong to me. Come to Matthew's Pharmacy, you'll be glad you did. We've got all you need and for all your kids. I was feeling mighty low, couldn't sleep a wink, but Matthew's Pharmacy kept me from the brink. We hate to give you pills, no, no, for your ills, no, no, but if we must, we'll adjust and make a mixture, and it'll fix her. And for all your special needs, you can count on us. From toothpaste to razor blades, don't shave in haste or you'll need band-aids. From lipstick to makeup, from powders you shake up, we've got your prescription of every description. Our prices are just right, and the service is free. We'll make you feel right. Matthew's Pharmacy.
Well, gee whiz, thank you, Ray. I feel better already. Good night. Good night, Ray.
Good night, Ray.
Good night, Ray.
Good night, Ray.
Good night, Dad.
Good night, son.
Good night, folks.